My name's Tom Ray. I work for a company called Atticus. We're a vendor of document review and verification software to help protect boards and entities from faulty disclosures, greenwashing claims, disputes. Yeah, the remote one-to-ones, they were a bit of a surprise actually, in a really positive way. Wasn't expecting them to be part of the package, hadn't experienced that kind of thing before. Had 11 of them before the actual conference itself, which was pretty exceptional. And it was just great to be able to know people when you actually turn up to the event a bit later on, which is fantastic. But also to see, to understand, does what we do, does it fit with the audience we're going to be seeing in a couple of weeks' time? The answer was yes in some cases, no in others. Just helped us be able to identify who's good to talk to when we come to these events. So generally very, very positive. Really, really good. So I think, gosh, I haven't counted entirely, but I think it's somewhere near 15 that we've had over a day and a half, which is pretty fantastic. About 10 minutes each or so. And it's just been really good to understand, again, just to help us understand, does our value prop fit with this particular audience? This is a new audience for us in terms of where we're coming from. And actually, yeah, it does. If we tweak some of the messaging a little bit, which has been really, really positive to test and learn. But also just the format of 10 minutes works very, very nicely. We're not doing hard sells. People are being very receptive to listening to vendors because there's fewer of them, as opposed to lots of people trying to jump down their throat the entire time, at a big conference where there's 100 vendors trying to stand out from the crowd. So yeah, that's been really, really positive. I hadn't seen that before a conference. So to be able to have access to 100 plus people's information, when I say information in terms of what they're actively trying to solve, where their pain points are, what their kind of day-to-day job evolves around, just super, super useful, because we don't want to waste anyone's time by going up to them and explaining what it is that we do, knowing that there's not going to be a fit with what they're after. So it just helps us to be able to identify who might be receptive, help us to be able to tailor what we're saying to exactly what their day jobs are involved or what their pain points are. So yeah, that was a bit of an exceptional added benefit we weren't expecting. I think the presentation was hugely beneficial for us. I think being able to speak to the entire audience about a subject that touches on, in some way, shape or form, what they do as a job, but in a way that it's value add, not trying to do a hard sell as a vendor, or just walk them through what are some of the consequences of some of the inactions that we see from people not focusing on this as a particular area was hugely valuable. 100% of the audience got to hear our message, and that generated a lot of conversations off the back of it. The speed networking was very, very interesting. So yes, it was 12 in total, I think it was, for 5 minutes each. That was great. Really, really interesting. Tables of say 6 or 8 or so, and we found that people were engaged, and actually the whole 5 or 6 minutes were taken up with questions. There was no awkward silence, there was no waiting for the 6 minutes or the bell to go at the end of it. People generally were listening to what we said, and they were engaging and asking questions. And as a vendor, we got a series of follow-ups out the back of that, so very valuable. And again, just allowed us to have exposure to an entire audience of very senior people that we wouldn't otherwise have. I suppose it all comes down to audience. If your audience is GCs, compliance professionals at senior positions in large corporates, then this is the right environment to be able to present your brand and yourself to. Generally, people are receptive to listening to vendors more so than they are at large conferences, which is a big bonus. The people who attend here as delegates, they're very open to what their pain points are and what they're looking to solve, and the opportunity to speak to 150, 160 people over the course of 2.5 days is, yeah, there's plenty.